Very good morning to all. Today I am going to discuss about server-side programming in web designing. Okay. So nowadays, before going to discuss about server-side programming, we have to know what is server and what is client. Okay, basically a server is a machine, that is ordinary system what we are using nowadays, which is used to receive all the requests from the client. Who is client in the sense keep on providing a request to the particular system. Okay, the server is getting a request from this client and then providing response. So that is the difference between client and server. So here we are going to handle the code which is there in the client side as well as server side. So why should we write this code in the sense? This code is used to create the request with the help of all those things codes to the particular server, and then this server side coding which is used to fetching the request and then providing the response for the particular client. In internet programming, that is in our web designing, we are having lot of client side programming as well as server side programming. So these are all the some of the client side programming available in the current environment, that is basically HTML, XML, that is CSS, scripting, all those things which is used to create the request in a particular machine. And then that side, that is all the programs which is used to handle the request and then provide the response for the request which is sent by this client side. Before going to discuss about server side programming, we have to know how the web will be work. So first, the web pages. So basically the web pages are created with the help of HTML, that is basic all the client environment programs, and then after created all the requests, the request will be sent to the server side. The server will receive the request and then it will create the response, and then that response will be sent to the client. That all those things will be handled with the help of Internet Information Server System, that is ISS or Apache. So this communication will be done with the help of this thing between client and server. And then and then web server. So web server in the sense, the server which provides the request, that is it is a program that waits for request from the web browser. It provides four major functions. One is serving web pages, okay, and then second one is running gateway, that is CGI, and then third one is controlling access to the server, and then fourth one is monitoring and then logging all accesses. Okay, so what is a serving web pages in the sense? Lot of web pages at the same time it will be access particular server, right? Okay, so all the pages we have to, that is as a server, that should be serve each and every page request, then only it will handle all the requests. And then second is via that request will be handled, that is request as well as response can be handled via this gateway, that is CGI, right? And then controlling access, whether it is access of that is authorized client or unauthorized clients, all those things will be handled with the help of this line. And then fourth thing is monitoring and logging all accesses. Okay, so depends on that, may be a administrator, that is particular client may be an administrator or the particular client may be a user. Okay, so based on their need we have to provide the logging access particular client. Okay, so all those things can be maintained here in this web server. And then so this is a basic web connection we have to we are using nowadays. It may be a home or it may be business, right? So the request will be sent to the local ISP in the sense internet server provider, service provider, and then via that ISP only the request and then response will be handled. That ISP may be the server, or that for example my server is not available in the local, my request will be moved to regional. If it is not available in the regional, that will be moved to world. Okay, anyhow the server between any ISP, in this any ISP can be handled each and every request from the clients, from their clients, and then that request will be handled and then response will be provided to the particular clients. And then this is a each and every time the request and the response will be provided with the help of HTTP. So the client will be provide the request and then server will handle the request. That request contains the basic HTML code for the designing and then all other scripts. Okay, so everything will be handled and then response object will be created and then that response object will be sent to the client. So this will be done each and every time. Here in this today we are going to handle the data, that is program, which what we are here in this server side, right? So server side programming contains the three things. Okay, it is a combination of HTML, JavaScript, and then DOM, that is document object model, that is dynamic HTML, right? Okay, so based on these three things we can create our server side programming. So server side programming may be in two ways. One is static way, another one is dynamic way, right? So static content in the sense it will receive the request and then the data which is there in that server will be provide the response, that's all, right? Okay, and then dynamic in the sense depends on the need, depends on the query of the user, the particular data will be processed in the server side and then that will be provided. Okay, so the two kinds of options may be that is static and then dynamic. Okay, so here we are going to handle the both things with the help of servlet. Servlet is one of the technology to producing the dynamic server responses for the client. So this is a class hierarchy of servlet. Okay, so javax dot servlet dot servlet, right? Okay, S is a capital letter, you know, so that is a class. Okay, so previous things are packages and then servlet config and then serializable. So with the help of these three interfaces we can handle the class which is there in that servlet environment. So the servlet can be, that is servlet program can be created in two ways, one with the help of generic servlet class or with the help of HTTP servlet class. Okay, so in the generic servlet class as well as HTTP servlet class both are having under a JavaX package, that is javax.servlet.generic servlet. So generic servlet is a class, javax.servlet is a package, and then javax.servlet.http package having the class HTTP servlet. So nowadays most of the people are using this HTTP servlet methodology to create the servlet request. If you wanted to create your servlet program, that is server side program, with the help of generic servlet in the sense you have to use the method service of. If you wanted to create your server side programming with the help of HTTP servlet in the sense you have to use a service method. Both are same, we'll see the difference later. See here, this is an overview, HTTP request and then response, right? So request object will be created, that will be sent to the web server from the client side, right? Okay, so top is a client, so first the client will be provide the request, right? So that will request will be received in a web server side and then that response will be created as an object. Okay, so request object will be received and then the object will be opened and then response will be created in the server side and then that modified response object will be returned back to the client side. Okay, so this is what happened each and every time when we are receiving the request at the server side in the sense. This is a life cycle of servlet. Very first init of. Okay, so that is initialization of a request, that is we are receiving the request from the client side. Okay, so with the help of init method we can do all the initialization process, right? So in the service, okay, so in the service side we can use these two methods to provide the response for the request. Okay, do get and then do post method. Okay, so this will be done more than one time, depends on the need of a response from the user. Okay, after this that will be destroyed, that is connection will be destroyed. And then this is a life cycle methods what we are having inside the servlet class. Okay, so that is initialization, right? I already told you on the previous slide, that is init of method, and then service of method, right. So in the service of method only it will receive the request and then provide the response, right. Okay. So in the service method we can write with the help of these are all the methods: do post, do get, do trace, do put, do delete, do head, and do options. Okay. So we are having these much of methods to handle the request what we received from the client side. After created the response, the request will be sent to the response will be sent to the client side, right. Okay. So if it after send the response, the particular object will be destroyed and then connection will be deleted. So in the previous slide we discussed two methods, get method and post method. Okay. So get method, if you go for get method in the sense, along with the URL itself, your data, that is your request will be written, right. So for example, here I am just sending the name Indigo and Montoya, in the sense in the URL itself that will be written and then that will be sent to the server side, right. So this is not a thing. If it is a post method in the sense, it is invisible to user, cannot be reloaded again and again, because that the data will be it will be sent to the request body itself. It will not be viewed by the user. That is a post method. So these are all the methods available. There is a method description of a servlet class, right. So init method we can if you want we can give the configuration, and then service method. Inside the service method we have to have two parameters, that is servlet request and then servlet response. So servlet request object, that is a servlet request, this request object contains the request, what are the requests received from the client side, and then response object after did everything, after created the response in the service method, that response will be written here over here in this response object. And then destroy method, I already told you, which indicates the servlet being destroyed. Okay. And then if you want, we can use this servlet config method as well as get servlet information method to know about your server. For example, I am trying to give a request to the particular server. I want to know about the particular server. In the sense, you can use these two methods to know about your server. Okay. So the servlet will return back the information and then configuration of the particular server to the client. Okay. So based on that information, the user, that is client, can create the request and then can send the data. So for example, first we go for a HTTP servlet class. Okay. So I already told you that we can create a server program in two ways. One is with the help of HTTP servlet method, another one is with the help of generic servlet method. So first we are going to discuss about the example of HTTP servlet method. So for that purpose we have to extend the HTTP servlet class with your server, right. So here hello world is my program, that is my server side program name, and then I am just extending HTTP servlet. If you wanted to extend that HTTP servlet, in the sense, you have to import javax.servlet package and then javax.servlet.htp package, because in a previous slide we saw HTTP servlet class is available in a javax.servlet.htp package, right. So that's why we have to write this two import statements. So inside the program, so here I am just giving a variable message, that is a string, right. Okay. And then inside the init of method I am just initializing the message variable as a hello world. Okay. So see the init of method, I am just writing a throws servlet exception. So why should we write this throws servlet exception? In the sense, this init of method may raise a exception, that is servlet exception. So we have to handle it. You can go for a try catch method or throws method. Here I just use a throws method to handle that exception, servlet exception. So that's why I wrote here. And then do get method. I already told you we can go for a lot of method to create a handle the request and then create a response for a particular server. Here I use a do get method, do post method, lot of methods we discussed. Here I use a do get method. Okay. So do get method having two parameters we already discussed, that is HTTP servlet request, that is the request received from the client. Okay. So that request object having all the data received from the client, and then response, HTTP servlet response. Here the response is an object which has some what we are going to create here. Okay. So that data will be returned there in that response object. Okay. So in the do get method also may raise two exception. One is throws servlet exception and then IO exception. So when the servlet exception happen, in the sense, if you for example, I am not able to execute my server, or I am not able to communicate with server, at the time this servlet exception may happen. And then IO exception, in the sense, for example, I am keep on waiting for a client request, but client is not giving any input, or I am not trying to give the output. At the time this IO exception may happen. So for that purpose I included these two exception classes for under this do get method. Right. And then inside that, see, response dot set content type of. Right. The set content type of is a method which is there in that HTTP servlet dot response class. Right. So I already told you about the response object. So response dot set content type of text or HTML. That is, I am going to create a response for a particular request. That response may have text or HTML. Right. So that may contain text or HTML. So that's why I am just preferring here. Right. So that is the meaning of this line. We have to write this. And then second one. So how I am going to write my response inside the particular URL, right? Okay, in the sense, so with the help of print writer class. Okay, so out is a object, print writer is a class, out is a object. Okay, so for what I am creating this out, in the sense, I am going to write the data, that is response dot get writer of. So get writer of is a method which is used to write the data inside the response object. Okay, so that will be written via this out object. Right. So now see here, out dot println of so and so. What is this? H1, there is a HTML tag. So here we can use all our HTML tag in between double quotes, and then message. Okay. So message, what it contains? It contains the hello world message what we discussed in the previous slide. Right. So this message will be right here in this out object. Right. So what is out object? Out object having response dot get write of method. Right. Okay. So if you are writing anything in out object, that will be right here in this response object. Okay. So now we successfully create a response for the request, and that response is wrote here in this response object. Right. Okay. And then destroy. So I already told you what is destroy. So here I am it will end the data. Right. Okay. So I am not giving any information in the destroy object. So now we'll discuss how to execute this program. Right. So as a server side, we have to use some server to execute the server side program. Okay. So in a current scenario, we are having lot of server technology. So here I am using JSDK server to execute my server side programming. So for that purpose, we need to follow these steps. Step number 1 we have completed, that is we type the code and then save as a .java extension. So second step, in your command window we have to type javac space - class path. So this is a path where I stored in my JSDK, right? Okay. So JSDK 2.1 I used, and then servlet.jar, right? Space your program name .java, right? So if it is successfully compiled, in the sense, hello world.class file will be created in the particular folder, right? So after that we have to copy that folder and then paste that in this link, that is JSDK 2.1 web pages and webinf servlets folder, right? After that we have to start the server in the JSDK folder, right? Okay. So after server started, so we have to open a browser and then type this What is this in the sense? HTTP, the IP address of a particular system. If you are using a same system as a server, you can type localhost, or you can type the IP address of a particular server. And then 8080, because this is a port number where I installed JSDK, and then servlet, and then hello world. Hello world is my program name, right? Okay. So at the time the request will be created. See here, this is a output window. This is a window after started the JSDK server. Okay. So servlet is initialized message will become. If you reach this message, which says that the server is started backup, right? And then after type localhost 8080 servlet.hello world, the message what we wrote in a response object, that will be displayed in the browser side, right? So this is the first methodology. Second methodology, generic servlet. Okay, so I already told you we can create our server side programming in a servlet two ways. One is HTTP servlet, another one is generic servlet. Okay, so second methodology, generic servlet program we are going to create. So for that purpose we need to implement servlet. What is this servlet? Servlet is a interface. Because of that interface I use this implements keyword, right? And then just for example, I am going to handle configuration. So I created an object config for a servlet config class, and then just initialize as a null, right? And then in the init of, I am just giving a config and then just printing a message, servlet is initialized message in a side. See here. And then in a HTTP servlet we can go lot of methods. There is do get, do post, lot of methods we are having to create, to handle the request and then create the response. But in a generic servlet side we are having only one method, that is service of method, to handle the request and then response, right? So void service, they are as usual we are having two parameters, servlet request and then servlet response. REQ is a object of servlet request, RES is a object of the servlet response class. In the service method also may rise a two exception. One is IO exception or servlet exception. I already told you in the last program itself. If the particular program that is not getting input or output, or some problem in input output, that IO exception will be raised. If there is any connection problem, that servlet exception will be raised at the time, right? And then see the inside the block, res dot set content type of text or HTML, right? So what is res? Res is a response object of a servlet class, that is servlet response, so the object, right? So res set content type of text or HTML. Okay, so I am going to tell to the particular client, I am going to send my data, that is request object, may contain text or HTML. So that is what I am creating. And then our next line is print writer out equal to res dot get writer off. Okay, so last slide itself we discussed, last program itself we discussed. So what will happen, the data what we are writing inside the out, that will be right in the response object. See here I am just writing a 3 lines, out dot println of HTML code, and then out dot println of hello simple servlet message, and then out dot print of I am just closing my HTML. Okay, so these 3 lines will be right over there in that response object, right? And then in a destroy method I am just writing system.out one message to the user. So this will be executed at the end of the program, right? That is once the connection is disconnected, this will be raised. For example, what is why I am using these two methods in the sense, we can use or we cannot use get servlet config, which is used to return the configuration of the servlet. Okay, if it does want, user can access this get servlet config. So this will be returned the configuration of the servlet, and then get servlet info, right? So this copyright information will be returned back to the server. So these two things will be these two will be executed when the client is requested in the sense, right? So here too we have to follow the same steps what we discussed in the for the previous program. That is we need to save the code in a Java extension, and then we have to go for a command line, and then we have to type javac space hyphen class path and then class path of the JSDK and then program name dot java, that will be compiled if it is there is no error in the sense, and then dot class file will be created, right. So and then we have to copy the class file and then paste that into the JSDK folder, and then we have to start the JSDK server, then only we can go for this display, right. Okay. So here I am executing localhost, that is a local machine as a server, I am just considering like that, and then 8080 servlet are first. Okay. So this program will be executed and then result will be displayed over here. Next we are going to discuss about servlet session, right. So before going to discuss about session, we need servlet session, we need to know what is session in the sense. Okay. So session in the sense the conversation between the server and the client, that is, so where it is started, where it is ended, at what time I started my conversation in the sense it may have lot of requests and then lot of responses. Okay. So it is keep on providing, keep on giving a request to the particular server, that will be keep on providing the response to the each and every request what we are producing, right. Okay. So that is called a session, one start and then one end will be that. Okay. So we have to handle this session. So why should we handle this session in the sense, for example, so let us consider shopping cart, right. So whenever we are trying to enter in a shopping cart, after login, we each and every item will move that into the cart, right. So we may move the cart or we may delete the cart, whatever it may be. So each and every time the request will be provided to the server. So after that the item will be moved to the cart, right. So if you are deleted in the sense, the data which is there in the cart will be deleted, that is the data which is there in the server side will be deleted. Okay. So all the conversation that till the payment, okay, so everything will be keep on watching, so then only I can able to provide a good session for a particular user, right. We can do the session tracking with the help of 5 methodologies, right. 5 methods we can track the session. Number 1, user authentication. Number 2, hidden fields. Number 3, URL writing, and then 4, cookies, and then 5, session tracking APM. Okay. So we'll discuss one by one. So first, user authentication. So user authentication in the sense simple, that is we are going to provide the username and then that is login ID and then password. Okay. So we can, that is as a server, we can track the particular session of a particular user with the help of that login ID as well as the password. Okay. So what is a drawback in this methodology in the sense, each and every time as a server I need to know about the resends the name and then password of the particular request and then response. Okay. So whenever I am trying to send the request from the client side, I need to enroll the name and then password. When after created the response, I need to again include the username and then password of a particular request. So that is a very tedious process. So we go for a next method, that is hidden fields. So in a hidden field, see there in the first line, input type equal to hidden, name equal to technology, and then value equal to servlet, right. Okay. Some hidden, I am going to hide some name, and that is hidden name is I am hiding this name inside my request, right. So I no need to handle that login ID and then password. Instead of 2 handling, I am just going for 1 handle, that is a name, right. So each and every request of my request having a name, that is hidden name technology. So that will be hidden inside my each and every request, that can be read only by the server, right. And then after received in a server side, I will open an object and then create a response, and then after in the response object I am just writing a hidden name in it, right. So with the help of that single hidden field, I can track the one session, right. So what is a drawback here in the sense, each and every time I need to know about the hidden field of a particular request, that is a drawback here. Third method, URL rewriting. Okay. So we already told you in each and every time my request will be written inside the URL. It may be get method. If it is get method, if it is a post method, that will not. Okay. So in this method, I am just writing a ID with the help in a URL itself. For example, see here, session ID equal to 7456. I am writing, right? Okay. So with the help of this number, I can track the particular session, right? So in this number will be written in the request as well as the response. Okay. So what is a drawback in the sense, the particular ID should be maintained till the end of the session, right? So for example, if the ID is erased or ID is malfunction or theft by others, again the problem will comes. So we go for this redirection can be done with the help of two methods. One is HTTP servlet response.encode redirect URL or HTTP servlet request.send redirect method. So with the help of these two methods, we can handle this URL rewriting. So fourth method is cookies, right? So cookies. So what is we are having a class cookie, right? So with the help of that cookie class, we can create an object for the cookie class. It has a user ID and then password. So with the help of this cookie also, we can handle the session, right? So for example, how to create a cookie in the sense, cookie, there is a class name space object name small c cookie equal to new cookie of the name value of a particular session we can provide. So at the time the session will be started, and then we can set the age of a particular cookie, that is the how many times, there is maximum time limitation we can set it, right? So for example 60 seconds I set it. So with the help of set makes age, right? And then we can add that cookie inside the response object. So with the help of this, we can handle the response and request of a particular thing. But what is the problem here in the sense, cookies can be deleted or disabled by the client. So at that time, again each and every we cannot maintain the session. So these are all the some of the methods available in a cookie class: get comment of, and then set max age, get max age, and then set secure everything, right? Okay. So get set max age in the sense we set it in the previous slide 60. So expiry time of a particular cookie, and then get max in the sense we can receive it, okay, and then set secure in the sense we can create a secure link with the help of this set secure methodology, right? And then fifth method. So fifth method is a top of all four methods, because this session tracking API is nowadays we are using it, right? In this session tracking API, we are not going to create anything, we are not going to handle anything. So that will be done automatically, right? Okay. So if it in the sense, once you started the session, automatically the ID will be created, that will all the information will be saved. So if you want, we can use that information. We no need to handle this session. The Java itself, it handle the session. Okay. This is a method. So how to create this session tracking API in the sense, with the help of javax.servlet.http session class, we can handle this session tracking API, right? We are having this method of methods, okay. So object get attribute enumeration, that is get creation time, get ID, get last access, get max inactive interval. So everything we can include inside the particular data, inside the particular request as well as response, okay. So important thing is, you no need to, for example, you no need to create anything, you just start the session like this. Here the session will be started, okay. So once it is created, see here HTTP session, the object session request dot get session of true, in the sense the session will be started at the same time, right? So at this time itself, the ID will be created for a particular session, and then the time, date, everything will be noted, okay. So and then your first access time, second access time, third access time, everything will be noted automatically, right? Okay. So you no need to handle anything. So here I am just creating this this code with under the HTTP servlet. So we know very well that with the help of doGet method, we can create a HTTP servlet method. So inside that I am just creating a session object, right? So the integer count is a variable, that is an object, so which is used to create the hit count of a particular thing. And then see the top, it is not visible, I think. So count equal to null, that is very first time I am going to access the particular session, in the sense the if loop will be executed and then count will be created, the count is 1. Second time I am accessing a particular page, the else part will be executed, the else part I am just increment the count. In this all those things I am just going to print the session, there is how many times I am executing a particular program. So what is the ID with the help of session.getID, so that will be created. So what is whether this session is new or old, the creation time, the date of a particular session. So everything I can handle without any prior data information. Okay, so here I am not creating anything, that is done automatically, right? So see here, when I accessed last, there is a get last access time is a method which is used to provide the last access time of a particular program, and then last access date, interval, everything I can handle, right? So see the output. See here, hit count of your session is 42. So totally 42 times I executed this program. See the ID, this ID is created automatically, right? Okay, and then this is session is false. Okay, so more than one time I am executing, that's why it is providing false. And then session creation time, session lost access time, and then max inactive interval, that is how many time, how many minutes I am in inactive, right? Okay, so everything we can provide with the help of this. Okay, so thank you so much. Next class we'll discuss about HTML to servlet communication. Thank you.